Hey, everyone. Welcome to What Would Dorcy Do Friday. I'm Dorcy Pruder, the CEO and founder of Conscious Co-Parenting Institute, and coming at you live this Friday afternoon to talk a little bit about some issues that have come up that we've been seeing recently. We have a client and really a lot of our clients have been coming to this place as they've been doing the work with us and have had a issue come up where they may have a belief system that may be holding them stuck in being alienated from their child or in this emotional cutoff. So the question that recently has come up a few times, which I thought I would address today, is I believe I might have a deservingness issue. I left the marriage, I left my spouse, and I believe I maybe have an unconscious story about deserving to be rejected from my child or rejected by my child, or rejected from my child, or split from my child because I left the relationship. And it's interesting because we see this a lot. And it doesn't get talked about because people are afraid to actually address the underlying limiting beliefs that we have that really create our life story. So I love this topic because it is a lot about what I teach in higher purpose parenting. Higher purpose parenting is really about clearing the path, clearing the issues that we have about deservingness. And the thing about deservingness is our life is a manifestation of what we believe we deserve, usually unconsciously. And so we're manifesting our life every day from one moment to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. We're manifesting what we believe we deserve. We're just unaware that we have unconscious stories, belief systems that were created in our childhood that hold us stuck in our story or in our life today. And so this came up recently where a parent believed that she was being rejected, that she has a story or a belief about deservingness because she left the marriage. And this is a common belief that a lot of families who are experiencing an emotional cutoff have, and they don't address it because it's easier to be a victim. It's easier to be stuck in our victim mindset, and so we can hold things out here versus actually cleaning up inside the story that we have so that we can reconnect with our children. So deservingness is a ceiling, a self imposed ceiling that we create to hold us stuck in our life situation until we evolve out of it, which means we shift how we show up, we shift our story. And how you do that is you have to identify from your childhood or your past the first time you felt the lack of deserving. So maybe it's the lack of being in a committed relationship or deserving to be in a relationship, the lack of deserving to be loved. It comes down to usually something big, like I'm unworthy, I don't deserve to be loved, I'm unlovable. All of these big themes create all of the little stories, the narratives in our life. We keep bringing these things in to wake us up. So we talk in higher purpose parenting about the levels of our consciousness and how we show up in the world. And we're a combination. We're spiritual beings living as human beings in the world. And when we are processing our life through our lower self-consciousness, we're processing through our victim mindset. And our victim mindset is programmed early in our childhood, where we believe that we are bad, that we deserve to be treated a certain way based on things that we've experienced in our child brain. And then who we authentically are, our spiritual beings, are our higher self, right? Our connection to source and to each other, our truth of being an unconditionally loving being. And somewhere along the way, things happen to us. And then we do things that create a narrative of deservingness or lack thereof. So what we find frequently, most often, in situations where parents are experiencing an emotional cutoff with their children is a lack of deserving or hitting a deservingness ceiling of having a relationship with their children. And then the voice that you hear coming back to you is, you left us. You don't deserve to be in relationship with us because you left. If you are hearing that messaging, then you may have a hidden story, an unconscious belief about your deservingness to have a relationship with your children because you left the marriage. This is just a story. It's a story that we tell ourselves unconsciously to hold ourselves stuck and not reuniting with our children. So, what I would do differently is I would source and process the first time I actually experienced feeling an emotional cutoff, feeling the belief that I don't deserve to be in relationship with somebody. It may actually be in relationship with your parents. It could be an experience that you had with your parents when you were young, where you did something and your parents got upset and you internalized that as your bad and you don't deserve something. That's where that belief actually comes from. So when you source it, that's the first step. Understanding, where did it come from? When was the first time you experienced that? What was the story that you told yourself about that narrative, about that belief that you don't deserve to be loved? That's the beginning. Processing looks more like writing the negating truth. What's actually the truth today? The truth is that you are a loving being, that you have experienced loving relationships, that you are connected to source and to one and to each other. The processing happens when you go through the understanding of what got you to where you are and what's the story you created and what's the different story you can start writing today. The new story is not from a place of convince and resist, because there's a lot of spiritual work or new agey things, or the secret and things that people talk about. Well, just write it down and then therefore it's true. If you have a deservingness issue, if you have a story about really not deserving it, you may manifest something, but you'll get rid of it as fast as you manifest it because you're still hitting up against your deservingness ceiling. So the key is to go back and understand and to shift what it is that you believe. We do this thing called Honor, Cut, Forgive, and Release at Conscious Co-Parenting Institute. And then we incorporate the Ho'oponopono in, I think I'm saying it right, in really, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. And so we have a two-part process. Once you identify what it is that is causing the ceiling, right? You to hit up against the deservingness ceiling, what the story is, rewriting the story, and then honoring yourself for where you are in your journey, for creating the story in the first place. If we don't honor ourselves and the people we're in story with, the people we're in relationship with, then we stay stuck. So if you honor, and then we have to cut the story. We've got to rewrite a new narrative, a new story from where you are right now and where you want to be. And then we need to forgive ourselves and others. This is our human thing. I go a lot into forgiveness in some of the lessons in higher purpose parenting, but our humanness needs to has a desire for forgiveness. So we need to be able to forgive ourselves and others for where we are and how we got to where we are in our journey, our story, our belief system. And then we need to release it. We need to release the story by writing a new story, writing the negating truth. What is it that you want? What is the relationship that you want? We're oftentimes focusing on the things that we don't want, that we forget to focus on the things that we do want. Oftentimes we forget, or we don't even know what it is that we want. We say big, brush strokes of things. I want to reunite with my children. But what does that mean? What does that look like for you? Be clear in your messaging. Be clear in the details of what it is that you want. And then look at what you can shift in yourself to move to the place of what it is that you want. So if you're hitting a deservingness, a story of I don't deserve this, or I deserve to be rejected because I left the marriage, then that's a great place to start going deeper. When was the first time? Okay. Honor, cut, forgive, release, and then moving to the place of I love you. This is you. I love you. I love you. You, your child. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you for the opportunity to learn this lesson one last time. Let the universe, let God, let source know that you're finished with the lesson, that you've got it. And as you move about in your life, test yourself. Start looking at how people are showing up in your life. Oftentimes, shifting the deservingness story, the deservingness belief, is the only thing you need to do to shift how everybody else is showing up in your life. Sometimes it is that simple. We oftentimes make things so complicated because it's scary to actually get what we want. And we are oftentimes so mired in our lack of deservingness that we have a difficult time shifting into the belief that we deserve to be loved and that we already are love. You're already love. You're already unconditional love. You're already a higher self spiritual being. You aren't striving to become, you already are. 99% of who you are is love. 1% is all the other stuff. But 99% of the time, how we show up in our relationships in life is our lower self, is our fear based self. There's only manifesting from two places: fear and love. That's it. And it's a very fine line. And when we manifest from unconditional love, you hear me talk about being in the space of unconditional love. You're manifesting from a place of unconditional love for yourself first. Now, this can be construed as I'm being selfish and, I'm taking care of myself and no one else. Most parents that we coach in this space oftentimes are always taking care of everyone else, and they have forgotten to take care of themselves. And one of the fastest ways to attract your children back into you is to take care of yourself, to manage your emotions, to do the work that you need to do so that you're holding this beautiful container of unconditional love for your children to fold back into, being that soft place of unconditional love for your children to land. If you're all spinny and you have unmanaged emotions and you're dealing with all of your own trauma, it's hard for you to hold the space for your children to spin in and empty their rubbish, right? And create that container of soft landing for them. If you're all over the place, then they're just going to be all over the place. And so really finding the place of deservingness is an inner game. Okay, it's an inner game. Marriages end all of the time. People leave relationships all of the time. It's normal. And marriages don't end and people don't leave because the marriage is happy and healthy. So you've got to move to the space of really understanding that. And the marriage didn't end. I don't care what the reason is, right? Maybe you cheated. Maybe they cheated. Maybe you just were unhappy, or whatever the story is, whatever it is, marriage ends all the time. But family stays intact because children are the glue. They are the glue that bonds the family together forever, forever. That's just the life. That's just life. That's just the way it is. And so if you're all spinny and the other parent is all spinny, the child is going to be all spinny and fragmented. And so one person needs to do the work. One person needs to move into the space of wholeness, right? Into the space of connectedness, to grounded, to managed emotions, to opening the container so that the child feels the safe, soft place to land. But if you're unmanaged and you're spinning in your lack of deservingness, then the child is just going to show up in the mirror and show you what you believe about yourself. Okay. The child is a mirror. They're mirroring what you believe about yourself. That's it. Every relationship is like that. And you take you wherever you go. So if you're experiencing that, pay attention to what you're experiencing in all of your relationships. Get a journal. If you're doing these What Would Dorcy Do Fridays, or if you're stumbled across me on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and you're here, get a journal and write these things down and do the work. Write out, what is the source of your deservingness? When's the first time you felt that? What did it feel like? What were you experiencing? Connect the dots. Look at other areas of your life. Where have you experienced that? Or maybe you're doing it. Where in areas of your life are you doing the rejecting? Look, pay attention, write it down, source it, and process it. Honor yourself for where you are in your journey. This isn't about beating yourself up. This is about honoring yourself for where you are in your journey. cut the story, rewrite the negating truth. What's the truth, right? Write the truth and forgive yourself for playing the old data tape over and over and over and over and over again. We do it. So forgive yourself for doing that. It's okay. We do it until we don't. It's hard until it isn't, and then it's easy. And then release it. Do some sort of exercise in the real world to release the story that you've been holding on to. And then you can just simply say to yourself, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to learn this lesson one last time. I'm ready for the next thing. I'm ready for what it is that I want. Then write out, what is it that you want? Write it down. Be clear. Look at that. Doing this work before you just simply write it out will help you clear the path to get what it is that you want in your life. So that is what Dorcy would do. This is What Would Dorcy Do Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome weekend. Peace in so you can have peace out, everybody. Talk to you soon. See you next Friday. Bye.